It's time for overtime.
Now that's a tourist attraction.
In the world of sports, it's all about the playmakers in today's headlines, from locals to the pros.
Toughest son of a gun you ever met, man. That Texas gunslinger ain't gonna let nothing get in the way.
With interviews from local standouts and sports all-stars across the country that will have you talking. Hear from coaches to players, sports analysts, and broadcasters who are a part of the action every day. Overtime, now with Bert Rameen on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Welcome into the Friday edition of Overtime. I'm fired up. We're ready to rumble, and we got all sorts of big breaking news from around the sports world to dive headfirst into on this Friday, May 10th edition of Overtime. If you're into meeting new people, you're in the right place today. We're going to check in with a pair of new head coaches in our area. New USD women's basketball head coach Carrie Eighmey, last name Eighmey, just recently introduced as the new head women's basketball coach down in Vermilion. She joins us in about 20 minutes for her debut appearance here on Overtime. We'll also be talking with new Sioux Falls Stampede head coach Ryan Crothers later on this afternoon. He'll hop on the show around 12:30 in between now and then. We'll chat with Coach Eighmey, get you the latest from the NBA. There's a lot of news, including a suspension for next season for Pat Bev to get to, and so much more from the NBA. Your odds roundup for tonight, tomorrow, and into the weekend, and what the Minnesota Twins' latest odds have done, shifting, moving at all, following the Game 2 win over the Denver Nuggets. We'll check in on the NFL at the end of hour number one. Latest odds post-draft. We'll get you those, including where the Kansas City Chiefs stack up. It's not too far down. Probably still the odds-on favorite, as they should be, for a first-time ever three-peat, potentially for Chiefs Kingdom down the road. High noon showdown and headlines to start out the noon hour today. Friday Parlay live at 12:20. New Sioux Falls Stampede head coach Ryan Crothers 12:30. And the good, the bad, and the ugly to send you packing and flying high into the weekend. That hits around 12:45. Again, welcome into this Friday edition of Overtime. I'm your host, Bert Rameen. You can track me down at any time before, during, after the show at Bert ESPN on Twitter, and you can always weigh in on the show via the ESPN hotline. That number is easy to remember. I personally, if I were you out there, a regular listener, first-time listener that plans on becoming a regular listener and a regular winner on the show, I'd go ahead and add it to your contacts, to your fast dial, whatever it's called nowadays, 605-362-3776. The number to contest, the number to weigh in here on Overtime. Into your scorecard we go. Pair of games last night from the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. The Rangers have been razor thin, just a little bit better than the Carolina Hurricanes through two games, and that did not change last night. On to overtime, and New York takes a commanding 3-0 lead in the series.
Left side of Lafreniere sends it in. Round the boards it goes. Missed by Orlov. Played it up. Score! Score! Yes! Yes! The Rangers win it in overtime and lead the series 3-0.
Overtime winner there, 98.7 ESPN New York. Other game, not so sweet for Colorado. They trailed 3-0 in Game 1 to Dallas, found their way back and won Game 1 in overtime. Stars go up big in this one, and they hang on to the win to tie the series.
Miro Heiskanen. Leg kick, shot, score! The Stars get their second on the power play. Heiskanen, the lead to the bump line, might be his second on the power play, and Dallas has a 3-0 lead.
KTCK with the audio there. 1-1 the series there. 5-3 the final last night from Dallas. Game 3 tuned up for Denver in just a couple days. Tonight in the NHL, Panthers at Bruins. Game 3, 6 o'clock puck drop on TNT. That series knotted at 1 game apiece. It's Game 2 tonight, 9 o'clock on TNT, north of the border from Vancouver, as the Canucks play host to the Edmonton Oilers. 9 o'clock puck drop on TNT. Vancouver with a 1-0 series advantage. Last night we had a pair of Game 2 news and a pair of lopsided games, at least on paper, coming in. People expected Boston to win. People expected OKC to win last night. And we got the absolute opposite of that. We saw a big letdown for Boston in the first round against the Miami Heat in Game 2, where they were blown out on their home floor. And we saw it again last night as the Cavaliers come to play and dominate the Celtics 118-94 the final.
It was a Boston Sea Party, as in Cavaliers. 118-94, as the Cavaliers will take the shot clock violation. That leaves 3.6 to go. The Cavaliers have tied this series at 1 game apiece. Cavs win 118-94.
That's the final there. Donovan Mitchell, 29.7 rebounds, tied 1-1 in that series. That final call courtesy of WTAM. Otherwise, Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks play some good basketball on the road in a dominant win over Oklahoma City. Final score in this one, 119-110. Luka, another great performance, nearly a triple-double, 29 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists in the win.
Doncic, slow dribble into the jump circle, left off of Lively, solid screen to let him step back and take a three and hit it.
Oh, he's feeling fine, and he talks to the Thunder bench.
Yeah, staring down that Thunder bench, and a few words there too, and a timeout by Mark Daigneault with 9 minutes remaining.
97.1 the Freak there, 119-110 the final. Again, Doncic's stat line, 29 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, fantastic, but not enough. 33 points and 12 rebounds for OKC. Here's Doncic post-game on what they made the difference for his team in Game 2.
Just our energy. I think we shared the ball really well. We were knocking down shots. We were open shots, so just our sharing the ball and our energy was great.
Again, Doncic and the Mavericks equalized that series 1 game apiece. And moving forward tonight into the NBA, Knicks at Pacers Game 3, 6 o'clock on ESPN. New York with a 2-0 series advantage. And it feels like it's been forever, because it really has been a long time since we saw the Nuggets and Timberwolves collide. Game 3 tonight. A lot of area fans staying up late. 8:30 the start time on ESPN. The Timberwolves hold a 2-0 series lead. And Kendrick Perkins says that's his team the rest of the way.
Oh, Minnesota takes this series. When Anthony Edwards speaks, I believe him, because he has shown me time and time again that I could trust his word. He gives his team a certain level of confidence that I haven't seen in a long time. And when you look at this Minnesota team, right now, they're arguably the deepest team in the league. I don't know what the Nuggets could do to get back on track. The Minnesota Timberwolves, to be honest, right now, I'm leaning towards them winning the NBA championship.
A lot of people echoing that sentiment from Kendrick Perkins. Now on to Game 4, Minnesota-Denver. Following Game 3 tonight, Game 4 will be Sunday night at 7 o'clock, regardless of what happens in Game 3, 7 o'clock TNT on Sunday night. Major League Baseball Finals, the Twins win the series 3-1 over Seattle and poured on the Mariners yesterday. It was a homer party for Minnesota.
A ball and 2 strikes to Ryan. And this ball hit well to left field. Rojas chasing after it, looking up. That ball is gone, skipping off the top of the flower beds and up into the bleachers. 8th home run of the year for Ryan Jeffers.
Jeffers connects there. TIBN with the audio. Pablo Lopez gets his 4th win of the season, 4-2, 3.89 ERA for the Minnesota Twins ace. Other finals, when the Colorado Rockies managed to win, we got to give them some love here on the show. That's what they did yesterday. Dominant effort at home, 9-1 over San Francisco.
0-1 to Doyle is hit to left center field. This one will not be caught, and this one is gone out of here. Touch 'em all time on a rocket to left center.
And that's 850 KOA. Rockies just their 9th win of the season. They're 9-28. Good series bout between Cleveland and the White Sox yesterday. Chicago wins over division rival Cleveland 3-2 at home. New record for Chicago, 10-28. Cleveland is 24-14 as the AL Central continues to get tighter at the top. Other finals, Milwaukee over St. Louis 7-1 and Kansas City with a dominant road win over the Angels Royals 10-4, the final there. Tonight in Major League Baseball, Cubs at Pirates, Astros at Tigers, Guardians at White Sox. A few of the matchups. Twins will be battling the Blue Jays from Toronto. 5:30 pregame coverage, 6:07. The official start time this evening from Toronto. Twins weekend schedule. We mentioned 6:07 the start tonight, 5:30 pregame. Tomorrow, 1:30 pregame with a 2:10 start. And Sunday, it's a high noon pregame, 12:35, the official start time. And your latest AL Central standings as we gear it up for the weekend. Minnesota Twins could catch the Guardians over the weekend. It's that close atop the AL Central. Cleveland had a big lead. It has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller, down to just 1.5 games better than both the Twins and the Royals. Twins with an incremental difference in win percentage to nab second place right now. Cleveland 24-14, 1.5 games back. Minnesota Twins 22-15, Kansas City 23-16. Then you got Detroit at 19-18, and the Chicago White Sox 14 games back with a record of 10-28. NFL news, not a whole lot on the docket, but the schedule release is coming as the next big off-season milestone. It'll be released on Wednesday night of next week. NASCAR race over the weekend is at Darlington on Sunday, 2 o'clock on Fox Sports 1. And the Wells Fargo Championship continues today and through Sunday from Charlotte, North Carolina for the PGA Tour. Last but most certainly not least, Caitlin Clark made her home debut in Indianapolis last night, and the Fever get their first win of the season. They move to 1-1. Clark goes for a staggeringly low in her standards, 12 points in the win, but they get the win 83-80. Here's Clark on her season opener at home.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I thought they were loud. I thought they were into it. It was fun to see, some people in some Iowa stuff and then a lot of people in Fever gear. And, this is a preseason game on a Thursday night and there's 13,000 people here. I think that just shows, what it's going to be like for us all season.
1-1 the record through the preseason thus far for the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark in that home debut, 12 points in an 83-80 win for Indiana. Now diving into your Reliabank headlines of the day for hour number 1. The 9th-rated Augustana baseball team earned a spot in the final of the winner's bracket with a 12-5 win over Wayne State yesterday at Municipal Ballpark. The Vikings play Minnesota State today at noon for a spot in the NSIC championship game. Wildcats fall to the loser side of the bracket. NSIC Player of the Year Jack Hines went 4 for 5 yesterday with 3 runs scored and 4 runs batted in while hitting a double and a homer in the contest. Led the offense that scattered 15 hits and scored double digits for their 6th consecutive game. Augustana 43-8. They tussle with Minnesota State at noon. Follow along, goaugie.com/live. The South Dakota State University baseball team begins the stretch run of the Summit League slate by kicking off a 6-game homestand and will host North Dakota State in a key 3-game series. Today's series opener is set for 3 o'clock at Irv Huther Field on the campus of South Dakota State. Games Saturday and Sunday are both scheduled for 1 o'clock start times, and all 3 games will be available for viewing through the Summit League network powered by Midco Sports Plus. Jackrabbits enter the weekend at 18-25 overall. North Dakota State comes into the series 16-25-1. Bison are third right now in the Summit League, 11-9-1. Jackrabbits are currently looking up at the rest of the 16 field with a record of 9-13. South Dakota head men's basketball coach Eric Peterson has announced the hire of Sean Smith as a member of his coaching staff. Smith joins the Yotes program after 2 seasons as the head men's basketball coach at North Park University. Smith was named the D3Hoops.com National Coach of the Year last season after guiding North Park to its first CCIW tournament championship. The Vikings finished the season with a 24-6 record and an appearance in the Sweet 16 in Smith's first year as a collegiate head coach. Makes the jump up from D3 all the way up to D1 there with USD men's basketball. Head coach Eric Peterson, the new addition to the coaching staff, is Sean Smith. Read more about him and his coaching history at GoYotes.com. South Dakota State used a strong effort in the circle from Tori Kanishi along with a 6-run third inning at the plate to claim a 7-0 shutout win over South Dakota in their opening game of the 2024 Summit League Softball Championship Tournament at Jackrabbit Softball Stadium. The Yotes had an early opportunity to strike first on the scoreboard. A 2-out hit by the pitch in the top of the second was followed by a single to put 2 USD runners on base. Jackrabbit starting pitcher Tori Kanisi was unfazed and was able to get a strikeout out of the next batter to escape the frame without any further damage. Final score yesterday, 7-0. Jackrabbits moving on, and the Coyotes season comes to an end with a record of 23-30. Lost to SDSU in game 1 yesterday, 7-0. Had an opportunity against UMKC. That game goes the way of the Roos. Final score there, 7-3. Recaps for both. Go Yotes, go Jacks.com. Speaking of good softball programs, Augie softball, now with a record of 46-13, earned a Thursday night win against Oklahoma Baptist by a narrow margin of 1-0 to open up the NCAA tournament. Grace Glanzer pitched her 4th complete game shutout of the postseason as she helped propel her team to victory. The Vikings will take on top-seeded Pittsburgh State today at 11. They're getting underway right now. GoAugie.com/live, the place to follow along. Winner of today's game will advance to the championship on Saturday, while the losing team will play at a 4 o'clock double elimination tournament game. So not eliminated with a loss. It's a double elimination tournament there from the regional hosted by Pittsburgh State. But the Augustana Vikings can punch their tickets on to the regional championship game and an opportunity to propel themselves into the super regional round. They're underway right now. GoAugie.com/live. NFL reporter Aaron Wilson broke the news yesterday that the Green Bay Packers had signed former Niners defensive tackle Spencer Weege via the waiver wire. With a roster at capacity, the Packers compiled their 91-man offseason roster by letting go of defensive tackle Rodney Matthews. Weege is a South Dakota native up in that Aberdeen area, up in the Watertown area, went to Watertown High School, North Dakota State, and now a member of the Green Bay Packers. You can learn more about him and his journey with the Niners and now the Green Bay Packers, and an opportunity to make the roster this offseason with the Green Bay Packers. 90-man roster right now. They got to get it down to 53 with an extensive practice squad by the time the regular season rolls around, but obviously a big opportunity for Spencer Weege moving forward. North Dakota State alumni and South Dakota native, the second Mount Rushmore State native on that roster right now, joining South Dakota State alum, Timberlake, South Dakota native Tucker Kraft. Player introductions at a WNBA preseason game do not typically elicit thunderous cheers from the assembled crowd, but nothing about the home court debut of Indiana Fever rookie and number 1 overall draft pick Caitlin Clark can be considered typical. Clark, the former University of Iowa phenom who has taken the sports world by storm, made her first appearance at Gainbridge Fieldhouse on Thursday night and received exactly the kind of reception one would expect given the interest she has generated around the country and around the world. From the many fans donning number 22 jerseys, both from Iowa and the Indiana Fever, to the rousing cheers from the crowd produced each time Clark scored or re-entered the game, the atmosphere in the building suggested that this was a meaningful game against the Atlanta Dream, even if it didn't count in the standings. And again, 13,000 people in attendance last night for Caitlin Clark's home debut in a preseason game. I can't wait to see the numbers this year in the growth overall in the WNBA. I know there'll be great growth for Indiana, but the WNBA in general about to take a monumental leap, just like we've seen women's basketball do. We're no stranger to supporting women's basketball here in South Dakota, over in Iowa, southern Minnesota. We get it. But nationally, we're at a different uncharted territory right now, and I can't wait to see the ripple effects up to the WNBA. Lastly, let's round out your Reliabank headlines of the day with this. The Toronto Maple Leafs have relieved Sheldon Keefe of head coaching duties as of yesterday. According to a statement from the club, a search for Keefe's replacement will begin immediately. Today's decision was difficult. Leafs general manager Brad Treveling said Sheldon is an excellent coach and a great man. However, we determined a new voice is needed to help the team push through to reach our ultimate goal. We thank the coach for his hard work and dedication to the organization over the last 9 years, and we wish him and his family all the very best. Keefe still has 2 years remaining on a contract extension he signed last August, which doesn't officially kick in until the 2024-2025 season. Overall, through 4.5 NHL seasons, Keefe led the Leafs to a 212, 97, and 40 record with consecutive seasons of 50 or more wins and playoff appearances in each full campaign. This is another firing that I plain and simply don't get from the NHL. There's been a couple head scratchers so far this offseason. You've had a tough go of it, especially in the postseason lately for Toronto. Things are trending up. If you look at any metric there for the Maple Leafs, including a really feisty performance in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs this postseason, I don't understand the move here, but Sheldon Keefe has been let go as the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Those are your Reliabank headlines of the day for hour number 1. More to come in hour number 2. We're going to take the break and come back by talking with a new guest on the show and a guest that'll be joining us extensively throughout the regular season next year and into the future. New University of South Dakota women's basketball head coach Carrie Eighmey will stop by and join the program coming up next. Her first ever appearance on Overtime. We got rapid fire, get to know the coach, and more coming up on the Friday edition of Overtime.
The best sporting matchups and coverage. We are ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you on this week-ending Friday edition of Overtime. Hope everybody's buckled up for a great weekend. Thanks so much for tuning us in, as always, right here on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO. It is an exciting time for USD women's basketball. New head coach named within the last week. That's Coach Carrie Eighmey, as she looks to guide this program into bigger and better things. 23-13, the final mark last year. Nice little run in the WNIT as well. Coach Eighmey joins us now on the ESPN hotline for the first time. Coach, we're all excited to get to know you. Welcome to South Dakota. Welcome to Vermilion, and welcome to Overtime. How you doing?
Hi, Bert. Thanks so much. We're doing well. Just really busy right now.
Oh, I can imagine. So first things first, let's talk about the opportunity there at USD and in Vermilion to continue to grow what is a reputable and fun program to follow along with. This is a hotbed for women's collegiate basketball, women's youth basketball, all the way up to WNBA support. And I know you're aware of that. I saw the comments and heard the comments from you about USD as a program. But from your purview, what really piqued your interest about the opportunity in Vermilion, and what has you most excited for the near-term future and beyond?
Well, Bert, you really just said it. All those things you just said, that this is a hotbed of youth talent and collegiate talent. And, people love women's basketball in this area. Specifically, USD fans, Coyote fans love women's basketball. And they've had a rich history and tradition of success here. And, it's a community that really, really rallies around their women's basketball team, and the university obviously is a great place to get an education. And so, it's just, for me, it's a perfect fit. It's just a few hours from my hometown and an area that I've recruited for a really, really long time.
And I know you're familiar with this area and Nebraska native, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a Nebraska native, South Central Nebraska, so.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about your coaching history, because I know you've guided a couple different programs to all sorts of success, most recently out to our west. Take us through your coaching infancy, where you got started, and the journey since then.
Yeah, so I played college basketball at Hastings College, and once I was about to finish my playing career, my college coach asked me if I would be interested in coaching, and so I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in my undergrad's in psychology. And while I was figuring that out, I decided I would coach for a year and figure out my life. And what I discovered really quickly was that basketball was kind of several of my passions combined. I realized I was using my psychology degree, and I obviously love the game of basketball. So now I'm 20 years later, I'm still in coaching,
Yep.
but so I coached at Hastings as an assistant for 4 years, and then I left with Tony Hobson, the coach that I played for and worked for, and we headed down to Fort Hays State University at Division II in the MIAA, and I was an assistant there for him for 4 more seasons. So after my 8 years of being an assistant, I got the head coaching job, my first head coaching job at my alma mater, Hastings College, and I was there for 3 seasons, and then got the University of Nebraska Kearney job. and I was there for a stint of 8 years. And then I, most recently was at the University of Idaho last year, which was, I was just there for the one season.
And we're excited to have you here to lead this program down in Vermilion. USD Coyote women's basketball new head coach Carrie Eighmey is our guest here, Friday edition of Overtime. Coach, I think you can pinpoint and look at some strengths and some draws to a program on the outside looking in. When you were at Idaho, I'm sure you were thinking, man, USD's got such a great program. South Dakota State's got such a great program. But now that you're here and you're inside the building and you're meeting the personalities, you're meeting the support staff, the athletic department, what do you think has changed your mind a little bit about those strengths? Because on the outside looking in, it's apparent, but when you get inside, this is a really rock-solid program, all sorts of support and great people, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I think, I had a hunch. I mean, there's a reason why programs are consistently good. They've got to be supported. They've got to be, and that starts with the top, President Gestring is really, really supportive of Coyote athletics. And then, John Schemmel, the athletic director here, is a phenomenal leader. He's a tireless worker. He's really, really impressive as a leader. And, he's put together a great staff here. And, from the minute I landed in Sioux Falls, volleyball coaches were there to help me. The men's basketball staff has been super helpful for us as we make this transition and try to hit the ground running. And I just discovered really quickly on that this is a group of people that love this university, love the athletic program, and aren't just trying to be successful themselves, but they're also trying to help everybody else be successful as well.
And it's a lot to look forward to for USD Coyote women's basketball. Coach, I got to crack you open a little bit here and talk about your coaching style. Everyone's different. What can we expect to see on the floor that's a little bit different this year as far as schematics go? What's your style X's and O's wise and formationally? And then how angry do you get out there? Do we expect any technical fouls on the bench at Vermilion or otherwise this year? What do you think?
Well, from a schematic standpoint, I've obviously got some philosophical things that I believe. Defensively, we've always been able to make sure that we have really good defensive teams. It's something that we emphasize. We feel like it's an area of the game that we can control a lot easier sometimes than the offensive side of things. So, we're going to defend and rebound with a lot of effort, a lot of energy, attention to detail. And make things really, really difficult on the offense. And then offensively, as I said in my press conference, it's a little bit more like an art than it is a science necessarily. So, a lot of times I think it's important to evaluate your players and let them tell you a little bit about, what you should be doing on the offensive end. And again, we have some philosophical beliefs about what wins. We want to take care of the basketball. We want to, work together to get great shots. We want to play as fast as the team that we have allows us to play offensively. And again, there's some keys like spacing and body movement, ball movement. All those things are going to be really important, but I do think it's really important to be able to evaluate the team that you have and make sure that you're putting them in positions where they can do what they're really good at. Go ahead. From a demeanor standpoint, I'll be starting my 13th year as a head coach next season, and I feel like I've evolved quite a bit in my ability to maybe be a little bit more even-tempered.
There you go. Okay.
On the court. So I've only had 2 technical fouls in my entire coaching career. You got to make them worth it, right? You got to go make them worth it. 23-13, the mark last year. Coach, before we dive into some fun rapid-fire questions here with you, getting to know you a little bit better, I just wanted to get your first impressions on the young women within the program. Obviously, every offseason's different. You probably still have some movers and shakers to sort out, but the young women that are there, going to be there next year, what are some first impressions for you in your first couple weeks, couple days there down in Vermilion? Yeah, I had an opportunity to meet with them right away after I accepted the position, and they're an impressive group of young women. You know, they're very, very committed to this program. They're a fun group. They enjoy each other. They get along really well, and they want to be good. You know, so that's really, as a new coach coming into a program, that's really all you can ask for is a group that has, you know, great chemistry. It's a great environment, you know, and I'm really looking forward to this summer getting to work with them and having an opportunity to really get to know them a lot better.
Well, let's get to know you a lot better right now, Coach. It's time for some rapid fire. I always assemble about, 8 to 10 questions, kind of yin or yang here, get your personality and get the laughs going as well. Coach, rapid fire. We're going to start out with an easy one. Should be a layup for you, possibly. Coke or Pepsi? What's the play there?
Ooh. I would say neither, but if I had to choose, I'd say Pepsi.
All right. Pepsi is the play there. Game day superstitions. How superstitious are you? Do you have anything weird that you do game day?
There's a lot. I try not to be superstitious, but I like to keep everything the same.
Yep.
So lots of routine on game day.
Okay. Pizza toppings, ideal pizza toppings. You can go crazy, 5, 10 toppings. And then also, let me know, pineapple on pizza, is that a yes or a no for Coach Eighmey?
Absolutely not. No pineapple on pizza. Any type of meat on pizza is where it's at for me.
Okay, Coach Eighmey, our guest here, new USD women's basketball coach on Overtime. As we're moving through the rapid fire, if you're down in Vermilion, let's say 6 months from now, a year from now, and somebody catches you on a day off, what do they catch you doing? Are you out for a run? You out hanging with the family? What's going on in your life outside of basketball?
Yeah, you know, probably just hanging out outside, maybe working out, maybe reading a book. You know, a lot of people here play golf. I need to get better at golf because my golf game needs some work.
Hey, you and me both, Coach. Dream vacation spot for you. What comes to mind?
Anywhere there's either a beach or some mountains.
Okay, it's a good choice as well. Not South Dakota, I guess, is what you're saying. Favorite non-basketball sport? Is there a sport that comes to mind that you love that isn't hoops?
You know, I would say probably I enjoy watching football, you know, and volleyball. I'm from Nebraska, so you gotta be a fan of volleyball.
Okay, let me ask you this, because I know you've got a lot of them, whether it be coaching or playing. Do you have a proudest sports moment that comes to the top of your mind?
Ooh, I think there's a lot of them, but, you know, I think, you know, I think maybe the conference championship with my team from Nebraska Kearney was really, really special. Took us a lot of years to get there, so
absolutely.
A lot of work.
Absolutely. A lot of accomplishments for Coach Carrie Eighmey of USD women's basketball, new head coach. Wrapping up the chat here on the Friday edition of Overtime. I got your proudest sports moment, but I really want you to be honest here. I'm going to be honest as well. What would your stat line be today, Coach, if you hopped over to the local YMCA and played some pickup basketball? I'll give you mine. 2 points, completely lucky. I'll dish out some assists. Maybe I'll get 3 of those. I'll get a lucky steal. I'll tweak my knee, and I'll also have some hurt feelings. That's my stat line. What are you looking at?
That's awesome. You know, for me, honestly, I tore my Achilles playing basketball about 2 years ago. So, you know, I haven't played since then, and so it might be a little bit of a struggle, but you'll always, you know, I never needed to score a lot of points. You'll always find me making sure everybody else is getting the ball where they need to score. So there'll be several assists and love to defend. So I'll probably foul out at some point.
I left out my fouls. I would get 5 or 6 easy in the first 10 minutes. Absolutely. Coach,
sure.
A couple big time identity ones here. Question 9, question 10. They're paramount in importance. So USD Coyote fans, you can decide your opinion of Coach Eighmey with these 2 questions. First one, dogs or cats, Coach?
Dogs all day.
All
Dogs
right.
every day.
That is the right answer. You're off to a good start. Next up, people want to get to know you. They might want to know what jersey you might be donning on a Sunday for football, every other sport out there. What are your pro sports allegiances, and how connected are you to the University of Nebraska at Lincoln? Are you a Husker fan?
You know, when I was growing up, I was a Husker fan, but, you know, I've kind of become fan of whatever team, whatever school I'm coaching at.
Yeah.
So, and then from a professional sports fan, my husband is originally from Kansas City, so got to be a Chiefs fan to keep that family happy.
Hey, you got a lot of red in your wardrobe, I'm sure. Just don't buy any blue. You can tell that everybody's giving you that message as you join the USD women's basketball coaching fraternity down in Vermilion. Coach, this was a blast. I look forward to doing it again soon. We won't talk to you till preseason time, but I wish you all the best. I know it's a tough time and everything's going on super busy, but we appreciate you. Excited to have you guiding that program down in Vermilion. Thanks for the time today.
Yeah, thanks so much, Bert. I appreciate it.
Can't wait for our next chat. Already new USD women's basketball head coach, Carrie Eighmey. Again, the last name pronounced Amy, spelled E-I-G-H-M-E-Y. You can get to know the coach just a little bit better there. And also, still plenty of articles on the coach up at GoYotes.com. We take the break. We're going to come back with the latest from the NBA, check in on the NFL, and then we're going to get tuned up and ready to rumble for two listeners to go head-to-head in the high noon showdown. You guessed it, that's coming up at noon. We got to take a break, though. Come back with some NBA news, including an update on Pat Bev and a suspension moving forward, as in next season for the former Timberwolf. We'll dive into that and so much more coming up next on the Friday edition of Overtime.
Streaming live, this is Overtime with Bert Ramin on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you on the Friday edition of Overtime. That was a ton of fun moments ago, getting to know new University of South Dakota women's basketball head coach Carrie Eighmey. I got to tell you, that might be the best hot seat question score we've had so far, a definitive on the dog versus cat debate. It's not a debate. Dogs are way cooler than cats, and you cat owners even know that for a fact. Dogs are the best. Moving forward into the NBA, the latest there, including an update on Patrick Beverley. Moving forward, a suspension has been levied by the NBA. Also get you the latest odds for tonight into the weekend and over forward into the NBA Finals odds, where the Timberwolves still find themselves with the second best odds across the NBA as of tonight. First things first, recapping last night just a little bit, Luka Doncic cracked a relieved grin and raised his hands as he glanced towards the rafters when his first shot splashed through the net early in last night's Game 2, as if the Dallas Mavericks star was thanking the basketball gods. The soreness in Doncic's sprained right knee was still there, but his shooting slump had suddenly disappeared. A sizzling start by Doncic set the tone for the Mavs series, tying 119-110 win over the top-seeded OKC Thunder. He made his first 4 shots from the floor en route to scoring 16 of his 29 points in the first quarter. It was just my mentality, said Luka, who also recorded 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and a block shot. I think today was one of the hardest games I've had to play. I'm battling out there. I try to do my best to help the team win with just my mentality, have a great start, and then the team's going to follow me. Doncic's going to earn a couple days off here before the series shifts back to Dallas, and it's tied 1 game apiece as the Mavericks may have been written off by some, but not for long. That series tied 1 game apiece after a great performance from Luka and the Mavs in a 119-110 final. Very surprising result last night between the Cavs and the Celtics. Boston, another double-digit favorite and another double-digit loss as a favorite. Had won last series against the Miami Heat, also in Game 2, also at home. In the opening minute of the fourth quarter last night, Cleveland Cavs star Donovan Mitchell came off a screen at the top of the key and fired up a 3. After the shot, which appeared offline as it left his hand, it ricocheted off the backboard and went through the net. Mitchell could simply shrug as he backpedaled down the floor. It was the same reaction many inside TD Garden had for this one, as Cleveland, fresh off a 25-point embarrassment in Game 1, responded with a stellar victory and an embarrassment of the Celtics in a cruising 118-94 win over Boston in the Eastern Conference semis. The 12.5-point underdog Cleveland pulled off the biggest playoff victory by a double-digit underdog since 1991, nearly doubling the prior largest winning margin according to ESPN Stats and Info. Cleveland back in it, Dallas back in it. If you're asking me which team has a better chance to win the series, it is Dallas, and it's not close, but we'll wait and see moving forward. Bad news for Patrick Beverley, the now Milwaukee Bucks guard, suspended for 4 games without pay for throwing a basketball not just once, but multiple times at fans for an inappropriate interaction, that's a quote, with ESPN producer Melinda Adams after Milwaukee's season-ending loss to the Pacers in Game 6 of their first-round series last week. So not only chucking the ball at a couple fans a couple times, but also that awkward interaction with the ESPN reporter post-game. Indianapolis police announced on Wednesday that they were opening an investigation into an NBA player and citizen altercation after Beverley threw a ball multiple times in the fourth quarter of what ultimately became a 22-point loss to the Pacers at Gainbridge Fieldhouse a week ago. Cameras showed Pat Bev throwing the ball into the stands where it hit a fan in the head. After he asked for the ball back and had it thrown back to him, he then fired it right back at that fan. Police said in a news release the case had been forwarded to detectives who are currently investigating the situation and are taking all accusations seriously. It's a bad look for Pat Bev. And now to clarify, what good is a 4-game suspension when the team's season is over? It piles on to next year for Pat Bev, who is on a minimum contract this year with the Sixers and then the Bucks, and he'll be an unrestricted free agent and would lose roughly $90,000 as a result of the suspension if he signs a minimum contract again next season, which is projected to be worth around $3.3 million. So wherever Pat Bev plays, if Pat Bev plays again next year, he'll be sitting out 4 games and forfeiting at minimum $90,000 of his game checks. New York Knicks forward OG Anunoby will miss tonight's game of the Eastern Conference semis with a strained left hamstring. That's according to a team announcement yesterday. Sources told ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski that Anunoby is considered unlikely to play in Sunday's Game 4 as well. It's a big loss for New York, and he was evaluated before the team left for Indiana on Thursday, and that assessment was to continue last night. He suffered the injury late in the third quarter of the Game 2 win over Indiana when he was planting his leg in an effort to convert a transition bucket. He was in immediate pain following the play, and OG Anunoby not just out for tonight, but maybe out for Sunday as well, as the Knicks, one of the more dinged-up teams right now at this stage of the postseason. Now, as promised, I'm a man of my word. Here's the updated spreads and odds for tonight's games and tomorrow's games in the NBA postseason. Knicks and Pacers, it is Game 3. Do or die for Indiana after a bevy of calls they sent, and I'm talking 70 or more calls they sent to the league office for review, whining just a bit too much. Game 1 and Game 2. Indiana on their home floor is a 7.5-point favorite. Has to do with some injuries, has to do with an anticipated outcome, of course, but Indiana, 7.5-point favorite at home to New York. That feels like a lot of points, even with New York being a little dinged and dented. Denver and Minnesota has come back down a little bit. I thought it was a little bit too low. But what do I know? Minnesota now just a 4-point favorite tonight, over-under for the Wolves and Nuggets in Game 3 from Target Center, 204.5. And tomorrow in the NBA postseason, Thunder and Mavericks game number 3. OKC is a 3-point road dog there. And Boston, Cleveland, put some respect on the Cavs name just a little bit. It's not double digits anymore. Again, it's home in Cleveland, but that spread is at 8 points right now. So 3 and 8 tomorrow and tonight. The Knicks are favored, or the Knicks are underdogs by 7.5, and Minnesota favored by 4 points at home. And your latest NBA Finals odds, it's still Boston as they continue to grab a stranglehold despite a loss. They're minus 110 to win the whole dang thing. Minnesota second at plus 285. And then a big line of demarcation. Timberwolves are plus 285. Oklahoma City plus 750, Dallas plus 950, the Knicks plus 1300. And if you're a believer in the Denver Nuggets, Coach Malone, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, all the role players, the physicality, the experience, Denver's a bargain, plus 1,600 right now, but Minnesota has come out and done what many deem to be unlikely and what few deem to be impossible in taking a 2-0 series lead on the road against a higher-seeded defending champ with the MVP in Nikola Jokic. But I don't think the Timberwolves are done just yet. I think they take a 3-1 series lead through 4 games. I wouldn't be surprised if Denver takes one tonight or maybe Game 4. I think tonight probably more likely, to be honest with you. But Denver could sneak one back and force the series back home to Denver. I don't think a sweep is likely. I really don't. But Denver needs to figure out some sort of solution for that smothering defense of Minnesota. It has been difficult, to say the least, for Denver to implement what they have no problem doing day in, day out, week in, week out of the NBA regular season. Minnesota has cracked the key to stopping Denver, at least for now, and we'll wait and see what happens the rest of the series. Quick break here. Check in on the NFL and more coming up next on Overtime.
ESPN Sioux Falls gets you back to more of Overtime with Bert Rameen on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you. It's the Friday edition of Overtime. Appreciate you tuning us in today and all week long. You miss any of the show, including our first-time chat with new USD women's basketball coach Carrie Eighmey. Podcast links always available, ESPNSiouxFalls.com or on the free ESPN Sioux Falls app. It's an easy download at the Apple App Store or on Google Play. Big football news today from across college football and into the pro level. We'll start with college football. Missouri State, member of the MVFC, member of the Missouri Valley Conference in other sports, has accepted an invitation to join Conference USA at the FBS college football level as a full league member that'll be effective next July. That's according to league and university officials made the announcement this morning. A news conference will be held today, May 13th, which is coming up next week to officially make the announcement official. The announcement will officially place Missouri State University in the NCAA's exclusive D1 Football Bowl subdivision for the first time. MSU President Cliff Smart says this is an exciting day for Missouri State. The opportunities associated with membership in an FBS conference allows us to continue to expand the university and raise our reputation to the next level. Missouri State will become the 12th full-time member of Conference USA, which is comprised of these universities: Florida International, Jacksonville State, Liberty out in Virginia. Closer to home, though, they are a regional fit here. They got teams in Texas, teams in Kentucky, and a team in Tennessee, Middle Tennessee State University. So Missouri State is one of the more northernmost teams and one of the more westernmost teams in the conference, but still a pretty good regional fit there for Conference USA. I didn't have Missouri State on my bingo card as the first FCS program in this day and age right now to make the jump. There's obviously more accomplished FCS football programs: South Dakota State, North Dakota State, Montana State. Those schools were my first choice that are likely to make that jump sooner than later. But congrats to Missouri State. They will exit the MVFC and push the conference down on the football side to just 10 teams in the near-term future. The FCS preseason top 10 poll is out from Hero Sports. Still working on their top 25, but wanted to let you know, Yote and Jackrabbit fans know of where your teams are reputable here heading into the season. South Dakota is ranked 5th in the preseason poll, according to Sam Herder at Hero Sports. USD went 3-8 2 years ago and 10-3 last year, advancing to the quarterfinals before an eventual loss to North Dakota State. Montana State is number 4 in the preseason poll. Montana 3rd. North Dakota State in the poll at number 2, and South Dakota State, back-to-back FCS national champions. Well-deserved, bringing back several big names, including the game's most important position, quarterback Mark Gradowski, back again. For South Dakota State Jackrabbit football, they are your preseason number 1 in the top 25, according to Hero Sports. Tennessee Titans wide receiver Treylon Burks is entering a pivotal year after injuries and inconsistency has derailed his first 2 seasons. He's got a clean slate with a new coaching staff led by Cincinnati Bengals former offensive coordinator Brian Callahan, and so far Burks has gotten off to a good start in the eyes of the new staff. The work that he's put in has been really impressive, according to the head coach. I'm excited about what he can bring to the team. And again, moving forward, Treylon Burks been pretty darn disappointing as a high draft pick and the A.J. Brown replacement there in Tennessee. We'll see if this is the year he can finally get his feet under him in a new offense, new coaching staff there under Brian Callahan. And lastly here, the Houston Texans have traded with the LA Rams and acquired wide receiver Ben Skowronek. Former Notre Dame standout, the Texans are sending a 6th-round pick in 2026 to the Rams in exchange for the receiver and a 7th-round pick that same year. Skowronek was a 7th-round pick back in 2021 and is entering the last year of his contract. Through 3 years of his career, he's got 575 receiving yards and 1 score. Certainly is a big-time contributor on special teams. Skowronek no longer an LA Ram, but now a Houston Texan. And the Texans wide receiver core extraordinarily experienced and deep right now. They got Tank Dell, they got Nico Collins, Noah Brown, Stephon Diggs, and Ben Skowronek, recent additions down there in Houston. Look out for that team, what they're building, and their experience as they gear it up for another playoff run in 2024. That's the latest from the National Football League, and it is that time. If you want to get in on the High Noon Showdown, dial me up right now. I'll take caller 2 and caller 4. And the reason it's a big deal, you're duking it out for the Thrill of the Grill, a gift certificate to Uncle Ed's, the all-new Uncle Ed's specialty meats out there on the east side. But I have 8 Minnesota Twins tickets up for grabs, and I'll give you the exact dates for these tickets. They're middle of next week, and the New York Yankees are the opponent for the tickets. It's going to be a 8-pack of tickets against the Yankees. I'll get you the exact dates when we come back from break. The High Noon Showdown. Dial me up right now. You want to duke it out and win an 8-pack of Minnesota Twins tickets. The number to dial, 605-362-3776. 605-362-3776. Let's duke it out. The High Noon Showdown coming up next. That number for Twins tickets, a gift certificate to the all-new Uncle Ed specialty meats and more, 605-362-3776.